Hi, I'm continuing to read from our research. When we were leaving the witnesses, we wrote a letter to the organization, and it included issues we had, one of them being the crumbling foundation of 1914, and how their insistence has made them guilty of blasphemy and presumptuousness and slander. But before we continue with some of Russell and then Rutherford's false claims credited to God's plan, let's consider two scriptures that we've cited here as to why this is such a serious problem. Matthew 6, verse 23. If in reality the light that is in you is darkness, how great that darkness is. Isaiah 5, verse 20. Woe to those who are saying that good is bad and bad is good, those who are putting darkness for light and light for darkness, those who are putting bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. So we can continue with some Russell quotes. This is from Russell's book, The Battle of Armageddon, 1897, page 604. The harvest or gathering time, beginning October 1874, the organization of the kingdom and the taking by our Lord of his great power as king in April 1878, and the time of trouble or day of wrath, which began in October 1874 and will cease about 1915. From his book, The New Creation, published 1904, page 258. It is a responsible thing to undertake to any extent to be the mouthpiece of God, to make sure that not a word is uttered which would misrepresent the divine character and plan, and thus dishonor God, as well as do injury to those who might hear. If only they would take responsibility. Also from The New Creation, 1904 edition, page 666. Distorted theories and fanciful imaginations come chiefly from human philosophers who had not the guidance of the lamp of the divine word. So, only listen to us. Then from the divine plan of the ages, in this is on page 26. It says it's from the funeral service of Russell given by J.F. Rutherford. He says, Bible chronology quite clearly teaches that the 6,000 years since Adam's creation have ended. Now the great seventh day, also 1,000 years long, has commenced. In The Finnish Mystery, the 1917 edition, page 61, it says, the chronology as it appears in the studies in the scriptures is accurate. Same Finnish Mystery, 1917, page 169, said, in the autumn of 1881, at which time food for thinking Christians was circulated, and the general call ceased. On page 179, the Finnish Mystery, 1917, Revelation 11:13, we anticipate that the earthquake will occur early in 1918, and that the fire will come in the fall of 1920. On page 542, they say the ravages of worldwide all-embracing anarchy in the fall of 1920. And also now starting with a new book of Rutherford's in 1921, The Harp of God, pages 228-229. The campaign of the great warrior Napoleon Bonaparte is clearly a fulfillment of this prophecy, as reference to the historical facts concerning his campaign plainly show. Being completed in 1799, marks, according to the prophet's own words, the beginning of the time of the end. From the time of the overthrow of Zedekiah, 606 BCE. Oh, BC. Okay. Then from the Harp of God, on page 231, and we're going to read page 231 to 237. Quotes from the Harp of God. The time of the Lord's second presence dates from 1874. From and shortly after 1799, the date of the beginning of the time of the end, we should expect to find an increase of knowledge, particularly with reference to the Bible. This great increase of knowledge and tremendous running to and fro of the people in various parts of the earth, without question, is a fulfillment of the prophecy testifying as to the time of the end. These physical facts cannot be disputed and are sufficient to convince any reasonable mind that we have been in the time of the end since 1799. From that time forward, there has been marvelous increase of light, and the inventions and discoveries have been too numerous for us to mention all of them here. But mention is made of some of those who have come to the light since 1874, as further evidences of the Lord's presence since that date. We mark a wonderful fulfillment of this statement of the Lord as further corroborative proof of the Lord's second presence from 1874 forward. He had said, in answer to the question relative to his second presence, "Who then is the faithful and wise servant? From his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season. Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, finds so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods." The proclaiming of the second presence of the Lord and the gathering together of those who truly love his appearing has been so remarkably fulfilled since 1874 that it is one of the most striking and conclusive proofs of the Lord's second presence. That was on page 241. On page 244, this will be the last one from the Harp of God. This period, beginning with the year 606 BC, necessarily must end in 1914 AD. His presence beginning in 1874. He has carried on his harvest work from 1878 forward, but has not interrupted the Gentile dominion until that dominion should end. The end of the Gentile rule, therefore, would mark necessarily the end of the present order, therefore the end of the world. We should expect then to find 1914 as the beginning of the end of the old world or order of government. So I'm going to link to a video called JW's 140 Years of Careless Words, calling darkness light and calling churches' good works of Beelzebub. This is based on some readings we were doing through the book of Matthew, along with the commentary by J.C. Ryle.